Um, Investigative reporter David Nehart had wrote an article the other day, and this is what he had stated: that Rittenhouse's verdict is a green light for right-wing extremists. Um, an expert on right-wing extremism has a warning for America, and normal is gone, and it's not fucking coming back. So the Democrats are being encircled by a radicalized Republican Party that's increasingly committed to fascism. Instead of organizing their forces and launching a coordinated counterattack, the Democrats are fighting many battles at once, and they're losing the majority of them. Donald Trump and his sycophants had launched a coup against American democracy and the rule of law on January 6th, and it may have slowed or stalled after the assault on the Capitol, but it definitely has not fucking ended. Trump and the planners of the attack and their other high-level allies and collaborators have not been published or in any way held accountable, and this outcome, punished. Sorry, spacing out for a minute. This outcome almost guarantees that the Republican fascist movement will attempt another coup the next time it loses another election. The fascist militias and other Republican paramilitaries are growing in strength and numbers. Domestic terrorism experts are warning that the U.S. may experience a prolonged violent Republican insurgency, and some observers have suggested that such Republican extremist violence could even escalate into a second American Civil War. Republicans are systematically restricting black and brown people's right to vote, with the apparent goal of creating a new apartheid Jim Crow-style system where the Democrats will effectively never win the free and fair elections. And this plot against democracy involves voter exclusion, voter suppression, extreme gerrymandering, the big lie, and the intimidation of election officials on the local level. Republicans are also deploying their street thugs and other foot soldiers to disrupt civil society, targeting school board meetings, library oversight boards, and other ground-level government bodies, and these attacks involve both the violent intimidation and proactive strategy to infiltrate local government and weaponize it in service to the Republican fascist movement. The Republican fascists are basically, in larger conservative movements, are continuing their culture war attacks, and their newest weapon is the Republican moral panic about critical race theory, against which the Democrats have been largely defenseless against. Donald Trump and his movement command an extensive propaganda and disinformation machine. Its power is so great that it has effectively created a total reality for tens of millions of Americans and others who have surrendered to it. The Republican fascist movement is successfully attacking truth and reality, and once again, Democrats and progressives have no what they call remotely equivalent propaganda machine. And here, the Democrats are at another disadvantage. The mainstream news media is a de facto ally and enabler of the Trump movement, having consistently normalized its excesses through the chronic both-sidesism and cynical horse race journalism. Instead of leading a counterattack and rallying his supporters, Joe Biden has sought consensus. This may be a historically dreadful decision, but a new essay at Politico elaborates on this. With the bipartisan infrastructure bill signed into law, Democratic lawmakers and party leaders say Biden needs to relentlessly hammer the GOP lawmakers for opposing his economic priorities and hampering progress on the pandemic and inflation. But Biden has largely shielded away from leveling the broadsides at Republicans on Capitol Hill, even though he's been less sparring with his predecessor and GOP governors who stood in the way of federal aid to combat the pandemic. And longtime Biden observers and confidants aren't sure that the attack dog role suits him or that he will commit to it. It's not Biden's style to lambast the Republicans, said John Podesta, who was Bill Clinton's former White House chief of staff and founder of the Democratic think tank Center for American Progress. I think for this president, it's not whether he's comfortable, but behind closed doors, Biden does not mince words about his frustration with the Republican Party, which he believes is due to Trump's grip, and it has become a threat to the nation's democracy itself. But he has warned off both Chief of Staff Ron Klain and the White House communications shot from too many direct strikes at the GOP. But Biden's infrastructure bill is likely to improve the lives of the American people substantially, but no one will feel its impact immediately. And time is not on the side of the Democrats in their defense against the Republican fascist assaults. All in all, Biden and the Democratic leadership have not fully committed to defending American democracy against the fascist insurgency, and unless they do that, all their gained ideas and transformative legislation will come to fucking nothing. As shown by their behavior and language, Republicans and their supporters are prepared to fight a life and death battle to end the multiracial democracy in America. In response, Democrats are giving stern lectures about proper comportment and the importance of so-called democratic institutions, but it would be fucking laughable if it were not so fucking tragic. As a political scientist, Lee Drutman recently told the New York Times, American democracy is in the midst of an existential crisis and near a tipping point. I have a hard time seeing how we have a peaceful 2024 election after everything that's happened now, he said. I don't see the rhetoric turning down, and I don't see the conflicts going away. It's hard to see how it gets better before it gets worse. So if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King, and also hit the notification bell so that you've been notified when a new video comes out, and thanks for listening.